Moral decay in business and society. Hello, it's Peter Merrick in La Jolla, San Diego, and I've been wanting to make this video for some time. The world is not as I remember it. I remember being in a society that was high trust. We trust government, we trust business, we trusted authority. We trusted that our neighbors were going to pick up their trash. Moral decay, this is something that has happened over the last 30 years. I would actually pinpoint it to 1992, the election of Bill Clinton. Yes. Why? He was in so many scandals and he put on that beautiful smile and everybody wrote it off. They just said, well, this has nothing to do with the running of the country. For example, he had wealthy Chinese businessmen and women paid to stay at the White House. Now, we all know what happened to America and pension funds and everything by us just ignoring that. Then there was the blue dress, where he had an act performed on him by Monica Lewinsky. He denied it, and he denied it. And then later on, he was charged for perjury, and he had his law license taken away. And the Clinton Foundation is now worth several $billions that we know of because the money was moved in 2016 to Qatar in the Middle East. These things are morally wrong. But when we do not have an inner compass and we do not believe in a higher power that we will be judged, everything is relative. How can you do business when you can't trust the other person is going to do what is right? What is trust? It's someone doing what's right for them and what's right for you. It is win-win. And this is what made Western society, especially America, Canada, and Western Europe, successful. Because people could trust that other people would do what was right. Because they believed in a creator. That was put in the Declaration of Independence. That you were constantly being judged. That you had a moral compass. So, with this moral decay that's happened, it starts from the top. I mentioned Bill Clinton doing something very inappropriate and then lying about it and having his license, his law license taken away. No one ever talks about that. The fact that it was a slow, slippery slope. Obama, there's pictures of him with crack pipes. The current president of the United States, he was involved in a number of dealings that no one seems to want to address. He passed crime legislation that put millions and millions of Americans in prison, and he had no sympathy for them. And we're asked by him to have sympathy for his son and also for his behavior. See, it starts at the top. When you throw trash on the floor, other people do it as well. In 1982, there was a theory that was put into practice, and it was called the broken windows theory. It came out and by the theorists James Wilson and George Kelly. And the theory goes like this. If there's a broken window, you have to do whatever you can to fix it. Because by fixing it, you're sending a message to the people who live there that this is not okay. So it was put into practice by Mayor Giuliani from 1994 to 2001. And if you saw images of New York City under Mayor Koch, it was disgusting. And under Mayor Dinkins, it was disgusting. Where Mayor Giuliani came in and he put in a zero tolerance for any petty crime and any broken windows. So if a subway train was painted with graffiti, they would paint it that night. If there was a broken window, they would fix it. If someone was breaking the law for misdemeanor, they would approach and arrest that individual. The result was this. By 9/11, when the world really changed, when we really saw how bad this place is, crime in New York City had dropped by 65%. People were proud to live in New York City. That's the value of having morals and saying we will not put up with this because it starts from the top and it trickles down. However, the people in this society need to have morals so we can actually conduct business. How can I deal with someone if I can't trust them? You know what the sad thing is? The sad thing is everything is broken down. There was a movie I loved when I was a kid. It was called Yankee Doodle Dandy. And it was of a gentleman named George Cohen, who is a huge producer in Broadway. And he had one of the most successful partnerships. This movie, the main character was played by James Cagney, one of the greats. So this character, George Cohen, enters into one of the most successful partnerships in American business history. And it was based on a handshake. When was the last time that people just did things with a handshake? I trust you. Right now, we have a society where people have prenups and they have agreements, and no one trusts anybody. Well, you know, you can't conduct business that way. You really can't. Because what made America great is it was a high trust society. You'd meet someone, you move, and you would start talking to them. You find business opportunities, share ideas, and you'd create. And that created an economy that was envied by the world. But that began with people being responsible for their own morals, believing in a higher power, not in being relative. The fact that there was no tolerance by the society for people doing immoral behavior. Now it's accepted. I live in California. I want to share with you an incident that I saw. I was in a store and this gentleman stole a bike. I went over to the person at the counter and I shared what was happening because it yet has not happened. The person at the store said they couldn't do anything. The police would not come. And in California, if you steal something less than $1,000, you don't get charged. There's no consequences. That's the problem with moral decay. People do not have consequences. Everything is okay. I understand that maybe society was a little uptight. It worked. The trains moved on time. You knew when someone said they were going to do something, they did it because they feared something greater than themselves. Now, we look at the top and we see immoral behavior. I saw an interview with Billy Boy, I'm talking about Gates, who is friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, this person here is telling the world to trust them. And he palled around with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I'm sorry. I wouldn't trust someone with that moral depravity. And he just shakes it off, and we're supposed to shake it off. You know, in the old days, that person would have been run out of town for that type of behavior. But now we embrace them. We now trust them. We let them throw around money to buy us off to accepting whatever. Well, you want to know something? You better look very closely at yourself first and who you deal with. There are three things in business that I look for. The first thing is when I meet you, I ask myself a simple question. Do I trust you? And that means what you're doing is good for you and for me. It makes no sense if it's at your expense. I want a win-win because I want to be able to go back and actually create more with you. Number two, are you committed to excellence? You might not know everything in your field, but if you are committed to learning more and more, that's what I want. I want creativity. And lastly, can I look at you straight in the eyes and know that you care about me? That you know that if you do something immoral, it impacts you and it impacts me, and you see me with empathy. There is a book that I recommend that each of you who are concerned about moral decay read. It was written 100 years ago by a gentleman named Martin Buber. And it was called I and Thou. I and Thou. And what the premise was, I am a spark of life and God, and I look at you not as an it, something I can manipulate, something that I have no concern, something that's replaceable. I look at you as a thou, a spark of God. And if I look at you as a spark of God, I am going to act with wow and wonder and trust, reverence, and respect. Because the rule that has been forgotten is the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. But when you look at people as an it, you can do whatever you want. You can throw them into the trash. You can treat them as something useless, like a useless eater. I believe in you. I believe in business. I am looking for people who believe in humanity 1.1, not what the wefers want. And you want to ask me what a wefer is? It is a World Economic Forum elite rat. I say the first place we start looking at is any of these people who are wefers, we get rid of them. And I'm going to say it again. A World Economic Forum elite rat. They see everybody as an it. And we are part of this beautiful world, and we are meant to add to it. Carbon is beautiful because I'm made out of carbon, and more importantly, my children are made out of carbon. And if I am here, I'm created by the Creator to create. I'm not a destroyer, and I'm not a virus, and the people I deal with, I do not see them as viruses because viruses are it, and we're told that viruses are not alive. I deal with living human beings, and my morals say that humanity is important and we're worth saving, and we're worth getting this inner strength to say no to tyranny. You guys have been great. If you like this video, give me a like, give me a share, and please follow and give me a comment. I'm being, by the powers that be, that have throttled my message getting out. I'm just a regular human being trying to figure things out. I don't know everything. I realize as I get older, I know less and less. And I'm looking for people who are dot collectors, who've had experiences and seen things from different vantage points to help me connect the dots, and for me to help them perhaps connect their dots. Have an awesome day.